That's not for children. Good morning. Welcome to Screen Junkies universe, where everything is decided and all is worked out. Spencer Gilbert is here to manage the universe for us. Joe Starr. Hello. Dan Merle.
Good morning.
Coming in. All right, we're going to talk about Fantastic Beasts. We also have some news, some pretty good news actually, on the Criterion collection to get into. Lots to talk about today. We'll start with that Fantastic Beasts. We talked a little bit about George Lucas last week, and one of our viewers, one of the members of our community, came back with a theory about how we treat creators. And it plays in a little bit, I think, to what we're seeing with JK Rowling and Fantastic Beasts and the kind of Grindelwald this weekend. Here is the path that he lays out for us. 1, creator invents beloved property. 2, creator overindulgence in pointless backstories. 3, fans turn against the creator. 4, creator sells property to corporation. 5, corporation tries to expand property. 6, fans demand creators return. Star Wars is on step 6. Harry Potter is on step number 3. That's the question that we have today. Is JK being George Lucas as we speak?
I don't think we can turn that into a verb because it's really only happened with him, right?
Yeah.
I'm turning it into a verb.
Okay.
I'm doing it
Is
right
she on
now.
the same path as George Lucas? Yes.
Well, it seems to be. So let's talk about this. It's a little bit of a mixed bag with Fantastic Beasts 2 this weekend. It underperformed. It was one of the lowest. It was the lowest Harry Potter related Wizarding World film.
Should have added another subtitle. Wizarding World, The Crimes of Grindelwald,
The Crimes of
Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Answer the Call, Origins, Harry Potter, Dumbledore.
Well, it would have described the
tagging
movie.
it. Yeah, exactly.
You know, people would have known exactly what movie they were going to get. So it did very well internationally, but it also opened in more markets internationally than the last film. So it's sort of, you have to put it in balance. It
Did about the same as the last movie.
And it got its butt whipped by Venom in China.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mixed bag. It's also sitting with middling reviews. As we know, it's 40%. It's got a B+ cinema score, which is a drop from the A from Fantastic Beasts. So it does feel like both critics and audiences are having a mixed response to this film. Is it, do we sort of attribute that to this path? Do we attribute that to this particular film? What do we think? Is it wizard fatigue, Dan?
No. I think
Accio magic. I love magic.
I think it's messy movie fatigue. It's if it were a fantastic movie, which some people think it is, but I think a lot of people are mixed on it. I was pretty low on it. I just think people don't like. A lot of people are not responding to how this particular film was structured. A lot of the directions that the story took were curious. There are a lot of timing issues. There's a lot of questions about years. There's a lot of questions about how this fits into mythology that is previously established. Some people say, well, she invented it, so she has the license to do what she wants with it, which I know a lot of fans are on board with that. And then some people are saying, no, you've established something and you're just going back and retconning everything and squeezing things around pegs into square holes. So I don't know if it's wizard fatigue so much as this has taken this started as, way back when, the Harry Potter spin-off series of like, we're going to look at the Wizarding World before Harry Potter and the magical world of Newt Scamander. And then by the end of that movie, it was, no, this is tied directly into Harry Potter and we're going to tell you everything. Yeah. Everything you ever wanted to know. And then they put all of that into the second movie.
They teased Grindelwald. Which I had never known how it was pronounced before. Although I could have figured they teased Grindelwald throughout that movie, throughout the first one.
Sure.
Everyone
he was there as a lurking presence in the same way Voldemort was.
Yeah, largely. And that's why I don't think we're at step 3 yet of the fan revolt. I think she's on notice. But I don't think, because Fantastic Beasts was above average, largely enjoyable, people were on board with movie, I think, unlike The Phantom Menace, even though right when it came out, everyone did love it. But I think
that right?
That's true.
Yeah.
It was fantastically reviewed.
Yeah.
And I remember my recollection at the time.
George does it again.
I was 16. We all really liked it.
Did you?
They did so many flips, bro.
So many flips. So I don't think we're at that point because she didn't come right out of the gate with a dud. But yeah, I think you're always allowed to make a mistake, but you're not allowed to string them together. So I think the third movie will be the the sword of Gryffindor is hanging over her neck.
Yeah.
And depending on how she writes the next one will determine how fans stick with or turn against her.
Do you
The
think
Phoenix swoops in and takes her away. And
Well, then,
rises.
she'll
She
rise again.
rises.
She could come back from. She can buy the queen. She could buy anything, so she'll be fine.
But
Yeah, well-
do you think that like this one doing will actually make a studio be like, okay, JK, we need to have some toxin filters on your process?
It's not doing that yet. We don't really know. It underperformed, but only here in the U.S. It was projected at 65. It made 62.
Well,
so
yeah,
it's not like it was a disaster.
That's not my. That's my point. Like, it's not a disaster. It seems like it's doing fine. Like, a studio wouldn't say no to Snow Queen, Ice Dragon for 3 movies. So, like, are they gonna say no to JK Rowling or be like, here's some notes?
Yeah.
She's gonna accio those
What's
notes
Snow
to the
Queen,
garbage
Ice
can.
Dragon?
That's
The writer
E.L.
of
James.
50 Shades.
James.
Oh,
Her
I was like,
fanfiction.net username.
is that right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's how she wrote the first one, Masters of the Universe by Snow
Yes,
Queen Ice Dragon.
I read that. Oh, Joe, you gave me my favorite fun fact of the day. Hey, let's get back on topic.
I think what they have to
That's a great
decide, though,
thread.
that if you look at it performed. Well, I'll go into all this on charting. I'll just say that the global performance was almost exactly on par with the last one when you compare it market for market to the first one, because the release dates were different in different markets. But it performed about the same as the first one.
Yeah, it did. Like
globally.
it opened in 69 markets, and it was 79 in this one.
Yeah,
right?
China
Including
was not day and date the last one.
Yeah.
It was day and date on this one, so it was about exactly the same. But 2 of the markets that I was reading that it performed lower in were the U.S. and the U.K.
Yeah,
So I think that's where
the hardcores.
a lot of the hardcore fans live, and I think that's where Warner Brothers is going to have to look at with this franchise. Is we'll see how it does globally, if it matches what it does the rest. It's possible, very possible, as we look ahead, that it could be as big or bigger of a global hit than the first film. But if they look at the numbers for the U.S. and the U.K. and they're substantially lower, which they may be, that's where I think they're going to have to decide, do we adjust course or do we not? Do we try to win back the markets in the US and the UK where a lot of the fan base resides, or are we going for a bigger, broader global play? That's what they're going to have to decide.
I would like to see a sequel that's like Pacific Rim 2, where it's just very clearly made for Chinese audiences, and like Newt keeps drinking Yakult. Like.
And it's set there. Well, the other interesting thing, though, it did overperform in some other markets, but yeah, I mean, the ones where some of the key ones, it didn't. Like the fact that Venom whipped its butt is pretty interesting. A couple weeks in, or 1 week in. So I have this question for us. I wonder what kind of conversations are happening right now, because I think we would all hope the kind of conversations are like, hey, we're still going to make money on this. That's clear. However, we really need to think about the next one, because that's where we're going to make or break it with this franchise. And if we want the Harry Potter IP and the Wizarding World IP to last for 20 years, which of course they do, then we're really going to have to make some course corrections. And they don't want to come in with a solo. They don't want to come in with a straight up flop to have to course correct and have those hard conversations.
Yeah, this is the time. If they feel that they...
If not now,
when? If not you, who?
Who?
Oh, boy.
That's a line from
That'll
a
be put
movie
in context later this week.
that is coming out this weekend.
I think that they are going to have to. This is the time, and they'll decide. Either J.K. Rowling and the Warner Brothers team will say, "Hey, I know what I'm doing, and screw off. We know we have a plan." Okay, or maybe they'll look at the reviews, they'll look at the box office, and they'll say maybe there's some tweaking to do. That's up to them.
You can't count out the hardcores, though. You can't. I mean, what do you think, Joe? Like, the hardcores are going to show up?
I think they. I think one of the weird little strategy choices they made was they said, do we want to bet on a new small cast of characters we introduced in the first movie continuing an adventure together, or do we want to count on lore? You guys want how long is it? Like 2.5 hours long?
It's not as long. They
2:15.
pack so much into it.
You want 2 hours of lore? Just
actually
hardcore lore?
Doesn't feel long. I will say
dense.
that.
Okay.
It's,
Well,
there's,
so dense.
there's a
It's
lot
very dense.
happening.
Dense but short. Okay, sure. I think they went full lore core, and I think that's going to be the course correction is maybe fans are not just like, I didn't want just like a feature-length film of facts. Like I wanted to care about characters the way I cared about Harry and his
Hopefully
friends.
that's already the case, and it's like, all right, we dumped out the lore. We cleansed our lore bucket. Our lore tank is empty. It's all splattered out onto the street. Now let's
fill it up
have
with
a drag
stories.
race.
May I have some lore?
And my pushback to the hardcore fans will show up would be, there has not been a canon Harry Potter book in more than a decade, right? I think 2007, 2008.
I think. I don't know.
Yeah, but it wasn't
But
like
even
a
the
JK
hardcores didn't
Rowling
like that.
penned official, like,
she
I guess
worked
it's canon,
with
but,
a playwright
Yeah.
on Cursed Child, and I don't think they've established what canon is, because she has said that the movies are their own world, meaning like the movies and the books don't necessarily have to identically match in terms of canon. So it's
That's
a very
super
complex
weird.
matter.
I mean, I get the movies and the books, but but my point being that there hasn't been a new official book in over a decade. There hasn't been a Harry Potter movie in theaters in 6-7 years at this point. My caution would be, if their strategy is the hardcores will show up, is how many more hardcores are you winning over at this point, and how many of them are carryovers from the heyday of the franchise, and how big is that number?
Because that return will diminish
across time. Because I think that return, it's the Star Wars thing, just like their belief that the hardcores will show up. Well, Solo, that they didn't, or the number at this point is so small that they found out how big the hardcores were, and or the hardcores return. That's a whole other conversation. So I do think that they need to figure out whichever way, if they double down on what they're doing now or if they change, they have to figure out what is this series of films, not what is it in relation to Harry Potter, what is its function as a service of feeding into, like, what are these movies, what are they going to do, who are they about, what are they going to say, what's the story going to be? They got to figure that out, because
Those
that
are
was
interesting questions.
that was my problem with this.
I feel like
About
the
a
answer,
film.
they already have the answer, though, because she called her shot. She's like, I have an idea for 5 movies. So this, I imagine, speaking of course correction, like, it seems like she knows exactly where this is going. She's just kind of in a rush to get there.
Well, she's in a different medium, and we talked about this a little bit. I mean, first of all, it's interesting to think about it in terms of Solo, because Solo was in a lot of ways a fan fiction movie. It was like a $150, $200 million after the reshoots, how much? Fan fiction movie about the origin story of Han Solo, and they did find out that only speaks to so many people, and you can't spend that kind of money on a movie like that. This, in an interesting way, because it addresses things that are deep in the Harry Potter lore and assumes the audience is following along, I think a little bit is in a similar kind of category. And with JK Rowling, all of that's floating around in her head. She's writing in a different medium. She's not working with a screenwriter. She doesn't have a series of novels to flesh these characters out and the stories out. At this point, I think we've talked about this. She needs help, and maybe it needs a fresh director. What do you guys think?
Yeah, those are two good solves. I guess my only point was that, like, this isn't a studio-led thing where they're like, stretch your trilogy out into 5 movies. That was her call. Like, she seems to have a very specific plan for this and has all these threads going. So I don't know how much you can change at this point without, like, taking her off her own movies.
You can change the screenplay. You can change the structure. You can change the format. My issue with this one wasn't what happened. It's how it happened, which was all at once and at the same time, simultaneously connected by nothing. That was my issue with the movie. It was just a jumble. It was just like blah, 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 blah. So I think what you need is somebody that can sort of shape. You need someone to shape it. You need someone to focus it. I know that hardcore fans of the movie, of the books, love that Hermione started a society to protect elves. That's a great thing for a book. In a movie, that would have been very superfluous to the story that they were trying to tell. And
while she mentions how she feels about elves,
she does, but the whole spew and everything. If that were in the movie, that would have completely detracted from the story that the movie is trying to tell. And while fans love that, I think you need somebody there that kind of says, like, I understand that, like, the fans are going to like this, but maybe we should stay focused on the main thrust of the narrative that we're trying to tell and figure out different places for these other things. I think that's really, for me, what they need at this point is somebody to work with JK, especially because she is a wonderfully experienced and imaginative and creative novelist and writer, but you know, screenwriting is a different animal, and you know, I think it would be useful to have somebody come in and just help her just shape it. Maybe not even a screenplay credit, but a story by credit.
Or just, I mean, you assume there were ghostwriters on this too, but there does need to be more of a distinct partnership.
Well,
let's name the weirdest versions of that. Her and Aaron Sorkin, go.
Ooh.
Oh, that wouldn't be like her and David Lynch.
Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm on that.
Joe, you had something.
Oh, I was just to sort of continue the George Lucas comparison that we've set up. I mean, Lucas was at his best when paired with a team. Marshall Lucas, his producers, Lawrence Kasdan, like these people are what helped George Lucas take all this like really brilliant stuff he had in his head and form it into really good movies. And then we immediately sort of saw what happens when he sort of steps out and goes, nope, don't need anybody. You know, all that stuff just sort of farts out unfiltered into the prequels. And I think you have that now with JK Rowling, where film is it's so much more of a ensemble and sort of teamwork makes the dream work medium than just writing a novel. That I think she needs those people around her to help shape.
Yeah, they've got David
as
Yates, who was great, and now it's just like time to move on.
Time to stop Yatesing, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like Spencer's telling me something about the segment at the same time.
No, I could keep going about this. If you want to circle back to George Lucasing and how now she's obsessed with like magical family bloodlines, which was not what I loved about Harry Potter. And we find ourselves again. It's like, oh God, I was about to bring up The Last Jedi. I won't.
No, you won't.
But just like the reveal.
Who's Rey's mom?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's
and Dad.
It's like the ending. What people wanted from The Last Jedi got taken out and put into Fantastic Beasts 2, where it's like, you're Skywalker.
Okay,
it's like,
so
what?
Two things. One, because that's a little bit of a spoiler, so I want to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
Two things. One is, I will still confess we're sitting here having our critiques, and we did that during our spoiler breakdown, which you can watch right now on ScreenJunkies News, which you do after this video. You should go watch that video. Thank you very much.
Synergy.
That said, is I have to confess that I do have this weird inability to be rational about this world because I want to be in it so much. So I am one of those fans that when I was watching it, I was delighted enough in those moments that felt reminiscent of what I love so much in terms of the magic and the whimsy and things like that, that I walked out, I think, a lot happier than other people did from this movie. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh, there's some issues.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not out as a fan, hardly. I think it's because I'm a fan where I'm like, oh, come on, I want more than this. I don't think critiquing this movie means that you don't like the world, and you just hope for better.
Yeah. So now, quick spoiler warning, because we're going to talk about what you brought up in terms of that aspect of it. And I'll do this again when we're done talking about spoilers. Thank you.
Nice.
And when we're clear, I'll wave. So, okay, as we know, there's this big reveal about Credence's relationship to the Dumbledores. But I can't, and this is why I think Grindelwald must be lying, is because it completely undercuts the whole through line about the prophecy, where the prophecy about Harry Potter taking down Voldemort is that the whole point she was trying to make with that, because it could have been Harry or Neville, and then Neville's this guy that you completely underestimate and then comes in at the end and makes his own heroic acts and has his own heroic acts, is that the prophecy is fulfilled only because Voldemort became obsessed with it. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. He believed that to be true. He believed it would be Harry. He went to kill him, and then he made it true.
Okay.
But if you then have this whole through line about magical bloodlines and this being so important, you're undercutting everything that you are trying to present about that world, which is that all of that is just a matter of human interpretation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Are you talking about like the blood pact between Dumbledore and Grindelwald?
No, I'm saying Credence is not a Dumbledore. There's no way he actually is. Grindelwald is lying, because if he actually is, and that's so important and this and that and the other, Are you having fun?
No, I noticed this weekend, and I was talking to Mara about it. This is a hilarious, and I'm going to say the words, and I apologize, but this is a hilarious similarity between the reaction to The Last Jedi and Fantastic Beasts, which is that's exactly what people said about Kylo Ren telling Rey her parents are nobody. Everyone's like, he's lying.
Yeah.
And so it kicks it to the next movie. It's like, I want to see the real reveal in the next movie. It's like, yeah. First of all, like, if he's lying,
storytelling
how
now.
cheap is that? And then secondly,
well, it's in his character to lie.
Yeah, but still,
all they care
that's
about is
such a
who's related to
cheat.
who.
I agree.
In our genre fiction, all that matters is who is actually
Who's
related.
your daddy?
Yeah.
Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy
The
is
movies.
the #1 question of all fan films at
Now,
this point.
I haven't seen it, but of course he's telling the truth, and of course
Oh
he's...
shit! Sorry.
No. I sit in the rooms where we sit. I've already heard all our Fantastic Beasts discussion. I'm there for Jacob. By the way, just because I like Jacob best doesn't mean I don't know anything about Harry Potter, nerds. Jacob's dope.
Oh boy.
What was that about?
Movie fight side note.
Okay.
Look, Lucas did the same thing. Like, magic blood, Skywalker magic blood, goes back and destroys the sweet farm boy, steps up and makes a play for a bigger destiny. To me, like, it's the same thing. She's just going to keep dropping lore in and diluting everything. Of course, he might also be Dumbledore's grandpa. I don't know. Like, he might be related to Dumbledore in so many weird ways.
And then had sex with Dumbledore's mom.
Wait a minute.
Just
to be
Chris
clear,
Child.
the time turner doesn't go back in time. It does.
Sure it does.
But it can't. Like, I can start the time turner now, and I
Right.
can go back to, like, I can't go back to before I was, as far as I know.
Well,
Until she tweets otherwise, maybe.
Hashtag time turner rules. Let us know if we can go back to before we existed, utilizing
Don't they
the
do
time
that
turner.
in Cursed Child? I thought they...
There's time travel.
Yeah, they go way back.
I don't think do they go back before birth?
Not before they were born, but like he visits young Harry Potter, and he's his son. So you could visit your dad and have sex with your mom, and then create credence.
Now we're in Back to the Future.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Stay tuned for Fantastic Beasts 3.
Yeah.
Oh, spoilers over.
Spoilers
That'd
are
be a
done. There's a lot to unpack in this, and it really is starting to feel very similar to, you're right, thematically, the other one.
I just thought it was funny
which
that
must
he's
not
lying.
be named.
Yeah. Nah, it's not real.
He's lying.
JJ will come in and fix
Yeah,
it.
that franchise offering, which must not be named,
Yeah.
and this one.
If he was telling the truth, the Knights of Ren would have been around more.
That's
Saying,
true.
they're lying.
How quickly are we going to have the Fantastic Beasts Last Jedi mashups?
Well, let's see.
It's Monday.
It's Monday.
Wednesday?
Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah.
All right.
How about
Fair.
Fantastic Four Beasts and where to find them? Where we mash up the
like this a
original
lot.
Fantastic Four movie, the 1990s
All right.
Fantastic
How about
Four
Fantastic Beasts of No Nation?
Ooh.
Ooh.
movie. That's problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you can make either one of them darker, but
Well,
Yeah.
let me text our social department because I
All
haven't
right, get on
already.
that right now. We'll be releasing that and then apologizing in about 2 days.
Yep. It's on Facebook. Sorry. Too
In
late.
other movie news, in movie news that is not about so much Who's Your Daddy, although I'm sure somebody can point out a classic film that is all
Yeah.
about Who's Your Daddy. Criterion Collection is launching a new streaming service. This is via Slash Film. This is exciting because, as we know, we talked about that last week. Film struck, shuttering, and sort of all of Hollywood rallying, or a lot of it, rallying around and trying to save it. So the Criterion Company is going to partner with Warner Media, and they're going to do a freestanding streaming service called the Criterion Channel. It's set to launch in the spring of 2019, so that's exciting. They'll be available on Warner Media's new streaming service that will launch also in late 2019. You can sign up to be a charter subscriber, very exciting, and you'll get a 30-day free trial and a reduced fee. That reduced price is $9.99 a month. Or $89.99 a year. Otherwise,
bad.
it'll be $10.99 a month and $100 a year. Now, I have questions about how it will bucket together with the Warner streaming service once that's launched or not. I I have many questions about this, but here's the press release, and then we can talk about how excited we are that movies can live. The Criterion Channel will be picking up where Filmstruck left off with thematic programming, regular filmmaker spotlights, and actor retrospectives featuring major classics and hard-to-find discoveries from Hollywood and around the world, complete with special features like commentaries, behind-the-scenes footage, and original documentaries. Exciting. The Criterion Channel will be picking up where Filmstruck left. Oh, we already said that. Great. So that's very, 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 very exciting, and I am looking forward to it. Dan Merle, unleash your enthusiasm.
I have signed up to be a charter subscriber, charter member. I think this is a good step. I'm sure that this will be, you know, a feature available on the Warner Media, but that doesn't launch till this time next year, Q4 2019. So this is a way to bridge the gap if you want. I like that they're offering it for a nice price, guaranteed for as long as you keep it. That's a nice move, and it's obviously not the saving of Filmstruck that I think a lot of people wanted, but it's a step in the right direction, definitely. And if nothing else, the fact that this whole situation brought to light, perhaps to some people that hadn't thought about it, the importance of keeping films available, then, you know, it's not altogether bad. But I'm excited for this. The Criterion Collection is a great, I love what they do as far as not just preserving film, but enhancing great films with their supplemental materials, with their interviews and stuff. They have, I literally have like cordoned off a certain amount of money every 6 months because Criterion does their flash sale where they sell everything 50% off. So I just have like X amount of dollars set aside for like flash sale day. And I, you know, get a few titles. So I'm a big fan of the Criterion Collection, and I think this is a great offering for classic film lovers, even if it's not exactly what a lot of us had wanted with completely saving Filmstruck. It's something, which is better than nothing.
I think it's a big something because it's largely functioning. It's functioning in a very similar way to Filmstruck. So I think it's great, and we talked about also the potential of losing some of those films as you switch mediums again and again and again. So hopefully there's a lot of attention being paid to preservation.
Is it every one of them, the full Criterion Collection?
I believe it, yeah. It should be the
good.
Criterion.
Yeah, I mean, those things, like, you buy 4 Blu-rays plus tax and you're already over $100
Yeah.
So for $90 a year, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I will watch.
Will you be a charter member?
I guess I should. I mean, it's not a huge discount. It's like $9 versus $11, but that adds up. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's also about making that commitment.
Yeah, I mean, when I do buy Blu-rays, it's usually from there because just they're interesting and they do, like you said, they do such a good job with the alternate art and the special features, and like they're usually movies you want to own for good, plus Armageddon. So
sure.
I think that
True story.
I know.
It's always blows my mind when I see it.
And Deep Impact was so clearly the better movie.
Well, but history will show that
Animal
Armageddon
crackers
ruled the day.
Although didn't Armageddon yield that? It's worth it because I think the Criterion DVD of Armageddon is what yielded that commentary with Ben Affleck,
with Ben Affleck.
where he talks about Michael Bay telling him to shut the F up.
I also like Spencer doing a little bit of a, I don't always buy Blu-rays, but when I do, they're Criterion.
It's Suntory time. I reserve it for special films, and they usually are the ones that re-release them.
Sinista Joe. Will you be signing up?
No, here's the thing is I've only ever seen Transformers movies.
Okay.
Those are the movies I like, and those are the movies I watch.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you guys are really excited about this, but
Billy's tickled.
I own
It's
7.
just, I just love you, Joe. I'm glad we're going steady now.
I am too, man. I'm so glad to take you to several different.
That Joe and I are dating.
Yeah.
We had a really good first date this weekend.
We really
I don't
did.
want to get ahead of myself, but I think this could go somewhere.
Here's
Being a little pushy. Here's the thing.
Okay.
Wait a couple of days. Wait for him to text or call you. You can't be the one to make. Girl, let's just talk later.
Yeah.
They can pretend you came across some like wrestling article
like,
that you can send each other. Like,
look at
this
this.
wrestler
Reminds
was
me of
exceptionally
you.
oily. I noticed you
Yeah.
pointed him out last night.
I may or may not have taken something of Joe's and left it in my car. That
Exactly.
My wallet.
I think I have to swing by.
What's their ship name? Is it Joe Bill? Bill Joe?
Joe Bill?
That sounds like my redneck farm name.
Yeah.
So it's basically either like
drowned.
Jolie.
Joel.
Patterstar.
Patterstar.
Oh, I like
Yeah,
Jolie
Patterstar.
Patterstar.
Is it
Jolie
Is
Patterstar.
it Billy Joe?
Billy Joel?
Billy Joel.
Perfect.
You were saying a real thing. No, you weren't. You were talking about the
It wasn't at all.
Transformers.
They were talking about
Yeah.
their fake date. They're both happily married men.
The chat is saying Jilly is their favorite.
Jilly?
So-
Okay. Jilly it is. Sold on the ship name. I think we've done a lot of good work today, and that's probably the most important piece.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Jilly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Jilly.
Yeah. Consensus. Oh, this room. We'll be updating you. Oh man, we forgot about Deadpool, but we'll be updating you about this budding romance. How angry? Here, question for all of us: how angry or delighted in chat are they going to be about this Deadpool story today? Over under Jill.
Well, the more we mention it, the less slighted they are. So
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
gonna guess not. So.
All right. So how about from now on, we'll just be following up with the evolving romance of Jilly.
Yes, Jilly.
Sounds good. Geely.
Oh no, we're doomed.
Jilly.
They're gonna recreate the yoga scene. Is that? It's from Geely, right?
Yeah.
Probably.
And with that,
Should
it's
look it
going to
up.
be a busy
Sheila
week
yoga
around
scene.
here. We have some fun stuff going on. We'll have a Creed review. We will have a Robin Hood review.
Of the band. Only the band. Yep.
Yeah, it'll just be, where are they now? I don't know. Find out right here on Screen Junkies News. We have a Robin Hood review coming up later this week. We will be having some SJUs coming to you on Thursday and Friday and every other day this week. But Thursday and Friday, surprise, and guess which day we tape them?
Yeah.
I don't think-
Pre-tape because we enjoy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you win, you can come up with the next ship name. All right. Thank you, guys. Good show. Yay, we did it. We made a program.